Hey golfers, in this next video I'll be talking about how to stop rushing the downswing in golf. Keep watching. Hi, it's Troy from headingoutsolid.com here. Thanks for watching. So this video is about how to stop rushing the downswing in golf. Now, if you feel like you're rushing your downswing, most commonly, and this is what I think most golfers are doing, is when you get to the top of your backswing, the very first thing that's moving is your arms. Most commonly, that's what you are doing. If you feel like you're rushing, you've been told you're rushing, another feeling would be, feel like you're very unbalanced in your downswing, getting a lot of weight to your toes, you're nearly falling over. There's a good chance you're rushing your downswing, and it'll be because your swing is out of sequence. Now, we're going to take a step back to fix this for you. If you're out of sequence, we need to get our body moving correctly so that the downswing will feel a lot smoother and you won't feel rushed. So the first thing I'd like to show you, and this is sort of doing a bit of a rewind, take you a step back in the golf swing, is making sure you make a full, complete backswing. Now, depending on your flexibility on how far you can turn, but there are ways that you can improve your backswing to make a full turn, even if you have limited flexibility. So I'd really like to see you make a better hip turn and a better shoulder turn, because when you complete those, it's easier to make a smooth downswing and you won't feel rushed. Whereas if you make sort of a half complete backswing like that, it's really easy to have the hands fire first through the downswing. So completing that backswing, I want you to get those hips turning and those shoulders turning like that. Now, if you feel like you can't do that, you feel restrictions in your body, first thing you can do is flare out that right foot. This is for a right hander, obviously. If you flare that out a bit more like that, it enables your hips to get a better turn, a better stretch, and you can much easier to make that backswing there. I can really get a much bigger turn by flaring out that foot. The other thing you can do, I've spoken about this a fair bit on the channel, is lift up the heel of your lead foot. Some top pros that actually do this. Again, frees up those hips, enables you to turn them more, which means you can then turn your shoulders. Now lastly, with the backswing, and this helps to smooth out your downswing, feel like you get a bit more hip depth where your hips go back a bit more in the backswing. Feel like as you're really turning, you're getting a bit more depth, helps you stay in posture better, you won't really extend to the downswing. If you can get more depth in the backswing, helps out in the downswing and you won't rush it as much. Now, I talked about sequencing earlier with the downswing, which is absolutely key to making sure you don't rush the downswing. Now, we don't want those arms to fire first because that throws that sequencing out and you'll feel like your downswing's in a big rush. And the downswing happens in literally a split second, so it's really important to get that sequencing right. So if we know we don't want our hands and arms to move first, what do we need to move first? So, I'll go to the top here. So what we want is we want the lower body to shift over first as we rotate, and this is happening at the same time as we shift and rotate. We want that lower body and the upper body, especially this sort of left rib cage and left shoulder area. I don't want my hands to do much at this stage. I just want them holding the club, just sitting there. And I want that lower body and those left ribs and left shoulder to move together. Really feel like they get stacked on top of each other. Well, my hands and arms really, I'm not thinking about these too much at all. It's all about getting that shift. And naturally, your hands and arms should shallow out and get into a great position. So we'll go to the top. And we get down to the ball like that. It's forgetting about those arms, those hands, and just letting that lower body and that left side of the body really pull the club down and get into that position there. That'll really smooth out that downswing. So together with that, we need to be shallowing that golf club. That will help you stop rushing the downswing as well. So if I go to the top here, so as I move my lower body and my left rib cage and left shoulder, I want you to start shallowing that club, and a great way to do that is just to bow that lead wrist like that. As soon as you do that, makes it easy to shallow out the club in that position there, and that gives your hands and arms that little bit of delay, that split-second delay, and won't cause you to rush that downswing. And then you can just drop the club through there, through to impact. Now, tying in with all of this, as I mentioned before, is really feeling like in that downswing, your left arm is really pulling the club down, and we're not pushing so much from the right side. It's very easy to use our dominant hand, and for me it's my right hand, in the downswing to really feel like I'm pushing. And when you push really hard with that right side, it can get that sequencing out of whack and cause you to rush that downswing. So feel like when you get to the top, as we shift, that the left side, as you're bowing it, really feel like it's pulling the club down through to impact, and that'll smooth out that downswing. You'll be a lot more consistent. Now, as we know, the downswing, it happens in a split second. I think officially it's something like a quarter of a second, so it's moving at a rapid speed. So I spoke about before about getting that lower body and that left side of the body to move together in this sort of motion here. Now, what I'd like you to feel is feel like you're getting pressure into that left foot or even that left instep in the downswing. What that'll do is kind of really gives you the stability and puts the brakes on that lower body, so that your upper body, your arms and your hands can then deliver the club lagging behind. Gives you that lag and that extra speed to deliver the club through to impact. Now, while this is happening, you still got to remember you need to rotate. You still need to be rotating, really opening up that left hip. Really important, we open up that left hip, giving ourselves room for the club to come through the finish. So from down the line, it's really important you get that pressure into that lead foot, that lead instep, really braces the lower body. It provides a real braking effect so we can get the sequencing right, so you're not rushing that downswing. So we'll go to the top. So we're getting that left side braced, clearing that left hip out of the way. Left hip's moving backwards, back this way. Delivering the club in impact, getting into a nice position, and we can finish it off. Now, another key to remember in the downswing to really feel like you're not rushing it is to watch the amount of weight you get onto your toes. I know there are some really good players that can do this, but they've been practicing it for years and they've been able to develop it into their game and still play great golf at a high level. But for most handicap golfers, whether you're a mid-handicap or a high handicap, doesn't matter. If you get your weight quickly too much on those toes, particularly that rear toe or that right toe, it makes it difficult to really smooth out that downswing, and you can often get really quick, which is what we want to avoid. And you come out of posture. This angle shows it better. This is what we want to avoid. Getting up high too early in that downswing. You'll see with most golfers, pushes the pelvis closer to the ball. I stand up taller. I've got to make a lot of compensations to make solid contact with the golf ball. So really key, try and feel like you keep that right toes down a little bit longer in the downswing. Feel like they stay down a little bit longer. As you get close to impact, it'll come up a little bit. It's different for everyone. It'll be a little bit different with the driver again because it's coming at a much more rapid speed. But what I don't want you to do is really get up high and really push those hips towards the golf ball, because that'll really kill your sequencing and end up rushing that downswing. So feel like it stays down longer through to impact, and that'll help you make a much smoother downswing transition. A great way to practice to stop rushing your downswing in golf is to get to the top of your swing. You can do this inside your house or in your backyard, even at the range. It doesn't matter. You can hit balls doing this, but you don't have to. As you get to the top of your backswing, just make a pause. Pause in that position there. Get that lower and upper body over the ball, over each other like that, and then let the club drop down. That's getting your sequencing in check. So what you can do is gradually get a little bit quicker. Pause, shift over, and then through. Start off hitting short little shots if you're doing this at the driving range, but in your backyard, just gradually build up the progression. Pausing at the top helps you avoid firing those hands and arms too quick, which can give you a really steep downswing, can result in every sort of bad golf shot in the game. So as you go to the top, really just pause it, get the lower and upper half in the right position, and swing through. Now if you're someone that's lifting those toes up too quickly in the downswing, a great way to practice that is just put a ball, block of wood, anything under those right toe and make swings. You can do this at the range and hit shots. Really quietens down those toes so you don't lift up too early and really rush that downswing. I'll show you from this angle here. So again, we go to the top, we pause, in position, and through. And again with the ball, just underneath the right toe there. Great way to smooth out that downswing and become a lot more consistent. Now, really important coming up, I've got a video that goes into a bit more detail in the downswing to really help you master this important move. So make sure you watch this video, it's coming up. Do you want to know how to make an even better golf swing? Click and watch the video on your screen now. It's going to go into more detail about how to make a great downswing in golf, which ties right in with this video to help you make an overall great golf swing. Do you want to know how to play even better golf? Consider subscribing to the channel. And remember, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.